We're still basking in the euphoria of the 100 days celebration of the present governor of Edo State, distinguished Senator Monday Okpebholo. In the last 100 days, he's been about everything and anything to show to Edo people why he was elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress and why he won that election as announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, even though it is subject to litigations right now at the tribunal. That's not the focus of our conversation. This past 100 days, about roughly 3 months, what has been the impact of the present government in Edo State? Of course, we're aware that the government did flag off the overhead bridge around Aduawa quarters, an ongoing project. The governor is also credited to have purchased Hilux vehicles to boost security architecture in the state. And the governor was also quoted as saying recently that the revenue profile of the state has, is within the region of 10 billion naira. There are also talks about some teachers being recruited, because when you go to most of our schools, especially in the rural areas, there are no teachers. Communities resort to self-help to be able to find a bearing for their children, especially for critical subjects like mathematics, English language, chemistry, biology, and physics. This is unsustainable. And beyond that, there are several schools that are in deplorable state. Such schools are not fit for human habitation, let alone for learning. But these are some of the realities that we have seen. And one very interesting thing that some people have commended the governor for is the fact that he has continued with the same energy of the present administration in most of the ongoing projects. That's commendable. In time past, in the days of yore, in many states of the Federation, you find that the new government will always abandon the projects of the immediate past government and try to create its own. But that's not what we've seen. And we hope this is sustained to ensure that Edo people truly get the dividends of governance as far as the present administration is concerned. I'm joined this morning on the show by the former special advisor to the state government on youth and political affairs, Shedrack Udugba. Shedrack, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sonny Duke, and good morning to my good people at home. It's a pleasure being here.
We also have, we expect him to join us any moment from now, the former Deputy Director of the APC Campaign Council at the States, particularly on media, talking about Comrade Collins Amadi Osanrai. We hope the former director of the social media, PDP Campaign Council, Fares Okpebholo, will be able to join us online, as well as Ken Irunse, former APC member of the Publicity Committee of the Edo State governorship election, will also be able to join us via Zoom as we have a very robust, comprehensive conversation on Governor Okpebholo's 100 days in office. But we'll get started on the show. I will expect them to join us. We come to Shedrack Udugba. Yeah, I said something about the fact that the present administration is, literally hit the ground running and giving a very defining instructions to contractors to ensure that they continue work, particularly for ongoing projects. And we've actually seen that happening. For example, like the Ministry of Education or the Education Hub at Iyaro, work has never stopped there. What do you make of that as a starting point in this conversation?
For me, that's one of the few takeaways that we could take from this government, that to a large extent, they've been able to at least maybe maintain some level of momentum in the projects that Obaseki had put on ground. And that's because many of those projects have been upfronted, payment have been made upfront for contractors to continue work. And then what we've seen is that they started with the Education Hub, they went there, they made it look as though they have started something new. But we also know that before Obaseki left office, he did some commissioning in that aspect. He commissioned some of those projects, putting it in public domain that this is how far we have come. What is left is maybe the crèche, the sport facilities, and the primary school that was located in that hub in Iyaro that is left for us to put in place. And then you also go into the issue of Temboga Road, we saw that Godwin Obaseki built a labor house that I named after Adams Ali Oshomole. And that labor house that's how was stood at Temboga. And the road was tied inward. But the thing, it was not completed to come out at Upper Mission. But when Okpebholo went there, he said he was the one that tied the Temboga Road. We saw construction work being done in Upper Mission. All we are saying is this: give credit to the man who had done meritoriously well before you came on board. We saw when they went to Stella Obasanjo Hospital, they said, oh, this is a sham, this is a sham. They just roofed the house and painted the walls and commissioned the hospital. How do you paint an hospital that is not built?
Okay,
that's the issues we're having. Okay, but they will try to continue what burns up without giving credit, try to poo-poo on the project and make it look as though they own the project.
Okay, let me stop you there. We'll take a quick break so we can have Comrade Collins Amadi Osagai join this conversation. It's a TMI on the ITV network. Don't go away. And now we have joining us the Deputy Director Media of the APC Campaign Council, former Deputy Director, who is also the Director of Media at the level of Oredo Local Government Council, Comrade Collins Amadi Osaga. Collins, thank you for joining us on the program.
Yeah, good morning, Duke. Good morning, listener and viewers.
Okay, now we started the conversation just before you came in, and I was saying that one of the major commendation that has greeted the Governor Okpebholo's administration is the fact that he has continued with many of the legacy projects of the former administration. As a matter of fact, we heard him when he gave an express instruction to contractors to go back to site immediately he came on board, just to ensure that there is continuity of those projects. But there are those saying that in some of those projects, credits are not adequately being given to those who deserve those credits. And one of them is Shedrack Udubai.
You know, Shedrack will always want to defend his immediate principal. However, maybe still his principal. You know, but just as you have said, the governor was emphatic, quick to respond to the attitude of many of those contractors who sometimes you give jobs and they run away, and sometimes you also realize that those assumed jobs were never there. They were just a way of either the outgoing government to siphon the people's money and say, you just practice there and let's assume we have given you a job, and they have not given them job. In some cases, I said, I am not saying that is exactly what happened in Godwin Obaseki's issues or case. But you will also agree with me that even when he said that, how many of those assumed ongoing projects, though not that they were even ongoing, you just saw people put Caterpillar on site few weeks for them leaving office or a few months to go, and nothing really was functionally happening in most of the places. Now when you talk about Stella Obasanjo Road, for example, they assume they awarded those contracts and they were all going. Now when the governor now said go back to site, how many persons did you see on site? Just to mention but a few. The Upper Mission, for example, I overheard him say when I came in, at the time His Excellency took over, there was nothing on Upper Mission Road. And you will believe with me, it was the very week he was sworn in, that was his first site of visit, where he told them, I made promises to you guys when I was campaigning that when I am elected, I'm going to fix this road. And he immediately swung into action and asked contractor to go there and jobs should begin. And that was actually what you saw Governor Obaseki Administration did in Upper Mission Houses was just a way of wanting to buy vote. It was close to the election. He also went there and said he was going to award the road. You don't just award a road by way of fiat. Action must follow. Now, after which, what happened? Did we see anything visible going on? If it was, let them show us as a way of empirical evidence and let the world see. And at the time the governor also went there, let us also see it. He also talked about, I overheard him talk about the Stella Obasanjo hospital, as it were. Yes, you will agree with me that that wasn't the only thing that the governor Obaseki did. Even the mobile scam that is on at around King Square, you also saw that nothing was done when he assumed was being commissioned. As I'm talking to you today, despite we later saw that that one was a complete sham, though it was PPP something arrangement, which Edo State government was not supposed to even assume that they are funding. But paper on ground also showed that Edo State money is being pumped in there. That money, the money for that place was supposed to be as a result of the stolen artifacts and what have you, which was supposed to be for the Benin Royal Museum, which was later reconverted by Governor Obaseki and his team. What's the name of that Igbo boy he was parading? You know, they turned it to as if it was now a private own, saying they were partnering with foreign bodies as it regards artifacts. Which artifacts? Now, let's put that aside. You can see even on that one, and those contractors are still there brushing and sweeping the compound as if something meaningful is going on there. But we are thinking that the already existing administration will take a time, probably when we now have Commissioner for Culture and Tourism, will overview and see what should be done with that place. I think that place should be harnessed of the Children's Medical Center, you know, because I think we can't take children from Dan Ugbawa, Dan Oluku, for example, and be taking them to Stella Obasanjo Hospital, knowing fully well that road before it leads to another state. So it's going to take so much time. So we need where they can quickly be attended to. And that compound alone was gazetted, you know, for medical activities, was not for tourist point that was converted from. Okay. Now, because really there's so much to talk about when we talk about the ease of the previous administration. Okay, let's for example, the equipment for Stella Obasanjo Hospital were being brought, including the air conditioners and what have you, by this administration. Paid for by this administration, you know, to equipping the place. Government is continuity. We agree he made a point. He tried to start there, you know, as a way of having turned the major central hospital to private-owned hospital. The people needed something, so he needed to consolidate by adding one or two structures there as a way of foundation. But government's continuity, there's nothing wrong if this administration completes it. We are happy that the governor is working giantly. 100 days in office is just as Governor Obaseki 7 years in government.
Okay, let me proceed there, Comrade Collins Amadio Saga. Let's talk about the revenue inflows of the state, because you can't make any impact if you don't have adequate funding. And that's very critical, particularly now that we are seeing most states, when I mean states, maybe countries now, can't have access to financial aid, for example, from the US, with Donald Trump shutting down USAID and all of that. Yeah. So what are the options? We have seen, even at the federal level, government going for loans, and we know the implication of those loans. So let me begin with you, Shedrack. What is the current revenue profile? What was the revenue profile under Obaseki comparatively to what we have today?
It was recently I saw a write-up by John Miyake. It is an informal spokesman to the governor. No official appointment, but he speaks for government. He wrote a publication and said that their revenue for January has risen up to the tune of 10 billion. That 10 billion, Obaseki, there was never a time Obaseki made 10 billion naira on a monthly basis. And I quite agree. They actually made 10 billion naira January. But let me give you a rundown of what happened. You see, in that 10 billion that was made by Monday Okpebholo, 5.3 billion was a one-time tax paid by the conglomerates of NNPC in Edo State, the MPDC, IDSF put together. They pay an annual tax to government. They paid 5.3 billion to Monday Okpebholo just this January. So when the tax came in January, what they made as regards statutory income from it is about the 4.7 billion that is left. What Obaseki was making on a monthly basis was 7 billion naira. Obaseki was making 7 billion naira on a monthly basis. If they are sustaining the 7 billion Obaseki was doing, when you have 5.3, it's supposed to be 12.3 billion. And now they have come to say they made that. Why didn't they tell us what they made in December? Why didn't they tell us what they made in November? Or let them keep telling us what they make in February. Let us have an idea of what it is. But the truth is this: if you put all of these things together, even in this even in this amount they said, the 5.3 billion, it was Godwin Obaseki who in 2022, NNPC had been in Edo State for over 20 years. They were not paying tax to Edo State government. It was 2022 that Obaseki took them up, probed them, investigated them, who attempted to probe. That's why they now quickly went to their books and they started paying tax to Edo State government. And they started tax in 2022. Adam Sali Oshomole in his 8 years in office did not receive a penny from this NNPC conglomerate. It was the ingenuity of Godwin Obaseki to ensure that everybody contributes to the patriotism of Edo State. And that's how we had that money. And the money they paid in January 2024, January 2024 was 3.2 billion. Because they had opened their headquarters here in Benin and they had moved the more staffs to Edo State, that's why the Benin shoot up to 5.3 billion. If you go beyond that, see, This issue of revenue collection, when we go to loan collection in those states, before Obaseki left office, he has automated a full digital tax automation in those states. Everything under the ARS, that the Edo State Inland Revenue Service, was automated. From tax, all the process of tax administration, from where they do a call assessment to assess what you're going to pay as a taxpayer, is being done electronically. It's not by human being that will say, oh, I like this person, I don't like this person. There was no fraud in it. In terms of what we call payment of tax, revenue, Board of State Revenue operated a zero cashless policy. It was a crime for any tax officer to receive money by hand to say I'm paying for tax. They could not. And all this process, in terms of reportation and the documentation, all of them were done through technology and it was seamless. What we are having now is that Monday Okpebholo has brought to bring Atalakpa. This all the days and remuneration that Godwin Obaseki had left behind. Let me tell you, when Obaseki took over government in 2016, monthly IGR was 1.6 billion. Obaseki drove it up to 7 billion.
That was never true.
Listen, I'm coming. It was 7 billion. When Obaseki took over government in 2016, the total IGR of Edo State was 23 billion every year. As at last year, 2023, Obaseki made 65 billion. In 2024, we did not complete the fiscal year to know exactly how much, but it was estimated to rise to 83 billion.
Okay,
and in this 2025, it was going to be calculated that Edo State was going to rise to the point of 100 billion. Because as prices are skyrocketing, there's double-digit inflation, taxes simultaneously also increase. But what we've seen now so far, I dare to say Monday Okpebholo in this 2025 cannot make 50 billion naira for Edo State. What they are branding now is the sweat and the hard work of Godwin Obaseki in ensuring that everybody in the society gathers. When Obaseki took over office, let me explain to you. When Obaseki took over, taxpayers in Edo State, in 2026, taxpayer was 131,000. As at 2023, taxpayer in Edo State was 372,000 persons that were paying tax. Obaseki fully automated the tax process. Today, Edo State issues e-tax. When you go for your tax certificate, they issue it e-copy. They send it to your mail so that all those typists in Okpebholo, nobody can fraudulently go and manufacture tax plans for anybody. Obaseki, see, I will say it out clearly. This issue of tax, the appointment of Atalakpa global concept to collect revenue is illegal. It is not known to law. Every issue that bothers, it is illegal for anybody who is not a tax officer or a tax authority to collect revenue and implement or to enforce tax authority. It is the duty of the tax authority to enforce taxation and not the duty of any individual. And I will say this. This issue, it is very sad that even the man they've appointed to be chairman of the Board of Internal Revenue is supposed to be a lawyer. But as it seems that the man appears not to know the legal boundaries of the taxation law. Because nobody, I repeat, nobody can take revenue or taxation on behalf of the taxpayers or the tax authority in Edo State. It is illegal and unknown. So, Edo people, wherever you see anybody they call Atalakpa, whether they have letter or no letter, they come to you to collect revenue, hold them and arrest them because it is totally illegal for anybody to collect revenue.
Okay, let me pause you there. I'd like to get your reactions. That we have moved from the automated way of tax collection to the manual way of tax collection. Is that true? And if you want to add value to that, share with us what the numbers are, what the statistics are.
I understand the worry
go straight to the point,
about my brother. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
If you say the new tax law, let's say it's new tax law, according to what he said, that Obaseki brought innovation, new ideas, and he made them embodied in the law. Law by who? 9 people? Even the administration of Obaseki with the House of Assembly in his government, which was jumping from House of Assembly to House of Assembly, were invalid because everything they did were non-void. They didn't even meet the quota that guaranteed him to even have a legislature to work with. When you send 40 members away, so if it is by way of law that he gazetted anything, I am sorry, anything he did through that law or through that House of Assembly of about 9 persons was non-void. Now, let's come to the tax issue he talked about. I am happy he has even indicted former Governor Obaseki administration more now, with the revelation of all the billions and billions and billions he kept collecting every month, and at the end he left us in a debt deficit of over 650-something billion naira. with all this collection, and there is nothing apart from the new ties that were changed in civil service secretariats. Now you can see why the document and the findings that had come from the body that had gone to investigate the ill in that government, where you can agree with me that is real. Now, for example, you talk to me. He talked about the atalakpas and the non-atalakpas be employed. Yes, I agree that even when our people need to assist government in implementing some of these processes on ground, they need to add human face and need to do it with some level of decency, because government is a continuity. That where government will also set, you know, a machinery or a body to also manage those that have been, for example, appointed to help in the way of revenue. Now, for example, he talked about the driver. We agree. Governor Obaseki formulated some form of POS from Lagos with his Lagos consultants, and they brought them, and even the same them, where the way they accuse INEC of using the
beavers
to do a lot of manipulation. That is what they were also doing. It was a quick way for them to manipulate what comes in and send it to their own personal account. But let me also tell you, to behold, the governor had to sit down, review, overview, probably reconfigure those POS that you now see some are now being, gradually the local government administrative centers are using them all over, you know, to collect some form of revenue, though not all revenue. Even with drivers, you still use it for them. It's just to put up record, but they still collect cash. They still give them a piece of paper. That is where to the enforcement officers, for example, that were employed by the government, not to collect physical money, for example, from those people, is to have to monitor the proof of payment, you know. So, but the only thing that is important here is that let them not be handling our citizen either because they hadn't paid on time,
okay,
or because they are defaulting. Okay. If they default, there should also be a system that should check defaulters instead of being handling them. Because I personally will never ever support that. Okay, just to say, just to recap on the area my brother have really talked about, I understand that Governor Obaseki took so much from the people, but from the little Governor Okpebholo have taken as a way of, on behalf of the people, today, don't line that refused to work under Obaseki's 8 years, today has just been revamped with over 70,000 brand new buses.
70,000.
70 new buses. 70 new buses right now at the door line. And the old staffs and what have you are already being worked upon in order for them to officially resume. Now, you will not just end it. You go to the security outfit. Today, you will agree with me. The things Obaseki weren't bold enough to even do, even when he said it was a marathon that was unbendable. This Governor Obaseki had brought compulsion into the Edo youth today, that you can see the level of civility, peace within the youth and within the people, when the courtesan law were drastically sent to the House of Assembly and appealed to them to take it as speedy as possible, to passing it into law. Today, everybody must behave yourself, because either your house or yourself will go for it if you made any attempt to undermine others. So just to count, but there are so much, since we still have all the time.
We'll come back to you. Let me quickly link up with Ken Irunse, who is joining us via Zoom. Ken, quickly share with us your take on 100 days in office of Governor Monday Okpebholo in terms of the gains, in terms of the prospects. We're also expecting Fares Okpere to join us via Zoom. But let's begin with you, Ken, quickly.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning, and good morning for all the other guests there. It has been 100 days, a very eventful 100 days in office, as you can attest to. So, 100 days in office, we have to see footprint of governance, practical, effective governance on ground. It is clear that the man from the foregoing, from the beginning, knew what we were going to do in government house. This government, when it came aboard, make this first appointment the very day it was sworn in. He has so far made about 10 appointments in terms of commissioners and several other appointments to handle the various agencies of government. Clearly, the government was prepared for the job. And as you can see, in the area of revenue generation, like my earlier was saying, He has clearly improved the revenue of the state. From the highest Obaseki ever got was 8 billion. Now, Governor Okpebholo has been able to improve it to about 10.9 billion just within a month. And that is no mean feat, you know. And I think, we agree with my brother, colleague, in achieving that, I'm sure they have to, you know, make some amendments and cover some loopholes. Because some of these consultants that Obaseki brought were siphoning our funds. We know that. Little wonder we have a debt deficit of about 650 billion, even with the amount of revenue was generating. Now, Okpebholo has also done well in security. They bought vehicles, over 70 vehicles, brand new, to be given to various security agencies, including the state vigilante. Obaseki, the best he did was to buy marketing CNRCs and call them security vehicles. Now, we're sure that security will be tackled. Just yesterday, I got information about 18 kidnappers. We're arrested in our bushes. This has never happened before. It shows the proactiveness of our security, of our vigilante, local vigilante right now under the leadership of Governor Okpebholo. In the area of infrastructure, so far about 13 roads are currently under construction. The flyover at Ramat Park under construction. It is a novel thing in the history of Edo State. We have never had a flyover. A city as old as Edo State never had a flyover. But now we do have. So we cannot say that we have achieved a lot. We are achieving so much in infrastructure. Schools, over 100 schools are currently being.
Just go ahead. We're trying to embellish the conversation with some pictorial representation. Go ahead with your presentation.
Are currently under renovation to speak. You will recall when Governor Okpebholo came in, when he was sworn in, the first thing was to go around some of the schools around already. It will surprise you that primary schools, even schools in already, no teachers. In most cases, you see 2 teachers in a full school, 2 classrooms being meshed together. You know, it was a disastrous thing. You can see the pictures as evident there. And Okpebholo set machinery in motion to ensure that these schools were renovated and rehabilitated. Today, some of these schools, you can see the pictures can show you they are fully rehabilitated and renovated. Fit for human beings to learn. And it was amazing that Obaseki was talking about Edo best, that infrastructures in our schools. That to me was the same.
Okay, let me pause you there because we don't have so much time. But you stay on the line. We'll come back to you in just a moment. Let me get Shedrack to piece all of this together.
You know, when you see people who are not in government, they come out the public domain to spread falsehoods. All of those things I raised, there was no one who could attack. All of the figures I called, he could not provide statistics because he's not in government. He knows nothing about what Okpebholo is doing. The challenge for me is that, like I said before, I will repeat again, Edo people should be aware. I didn't say it's illegal in Edo State. It is illegal to Nigerians and to the Nigerian Constitution for a third party to be appointed to carry revenue on behalf of tax officers. I would say the appointment of a Talakpa global consent or recovery consent is illegal. I hold nothing against Tony Kabaka doing all that because to a large extent, I know to a large extent he has worked meritoriously for this government to compete with the power. If Mode Okpebholo is governor of Edo State today and is making money, Tony Kabaka should also make money. But what I have is that, let me give you an experience. I will give you a good experience, an experience to that issue. When I was in 200 level, I think about 2010, I was coming back from University of Benin. I was about heading. I dropped at Ibiwe Junction. I was about to go through, before I get to Rukota, that stretch of Oba Market Road. I saw one of these old Atalakpa guys, those guys who were doing tax recovery under the old Akube Ventures. He accosted a young lady there, a middle-aged lady about 20-something years old. She had the water on her head. And the guy said the girl must pay. Then he was demanding for a ticket of 15 naira. The guy said he can't pay. That when this water is carrying on her head, he went to park it somewhere, he went to collect it on credit. The after says she will now pay the person that has not sold this money and will not pay ticket. The thing, the result of a rancor, they had a stage of words. And after a while, the Agbero dipped his hand into the woman's bucket, brought her to pure water, smashed it on the floor, brought out another tiri, smashed it on the floor. 5 pure water went down. And he told the woman, this is the 15 naira you ought to pay. And he didn't drink the water. He didn't confiscate the goods. He took it and smashed it on the floor. And everybody answered, and he said, the next time I ask you for ticket and if you to pay, it is your head, I will scatter on the floor like this. Then that was what brought outrage from market to me, and they started insulting you. You go kill you. You punish you, better for you. You'll die for this one. What did the guy do? He walked away like a tiger that he was and went away. See, I have spent over 10 years to study what good governance is. And I can tell you for free that there is nothing in the laws of government, there's nothing in the laws of government that provides it to cater for the rich. Government was constituted to cater for the downtrodden, for the plebeians, the commoners, the hollow values. There's nothing government produces that the rich cannot get for themselves. Are you talking of security? The rich can always afford security. Is it education? The rich can afford the best of education. Is it healthcare? They don't go to private care, they can afford the best of healthcare. What the government is constituted is to ensure that the downtrodden of the society are able to get access to the basic requirements so that they too can aspire and live life to the fullest of their ambition. This issue of bringing back this group of persons who are notorious in ruthless collection and enforcement of tax laws, not just that it's alien, it's a sad aberration to where we are coming from. The glorious part of basket is relegated to the background. What I'm telling you is this: there are many contracts in the state government. When Okpebholo came aboard, he took about 5 billion naira. He bought SUVs, about 68 of them. After like 2 months, he took about 6.9 billion. He bought 100 in loss. He said he was going to use 65 for security and 35 and share them for political heads. They could have given Tony Kabaka that contract. In one swap would have made no less than 500 million if he's converted. And if he's true in that, they would have made $1 billion. They should empower him. But the idea of giving him contract to go back to the streets to begin to release mayhem and suck the blood of the poor people in those states because they want to generate revenue for the chief. This issue is even beyond their talapa. Okpebholo knows that with the system that we have constituted on ground, the system we've constituted on ground to ensure that there's effective technological recovery of resources. It is on the basis that nobody, even Okpebholo, cannot go into the conference of this whole arrangement to collect these resources because the money is fully automated, it is properly documented. The only purpose at Talapa concept so they can have unfettered access to the resources of Edo people. And I've said that appointment, not just in Edo State, is totally illegal alien. The right of collecting taxes or the right of enforcement of taxation law can only be possible by tax officers, and it is not a transferable right. Okay. And as such, Edo people must resist every form of political aggression back to the street to collect resources on behalf of the state government.
All right. If you just join us, it's still TMI on the ITV network. 100 days in office of Governor Monday Okpebholo is the thrust of our conversation. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with you on this conversation. Don't go away. Many thanks again for rejoining us on the program TMI on the ITV network. Last lap on our conversation from our Benin network studio as we continue the discussions on Governor Okpebholo's 100 days in office. Let me come to you, Comrade Collins Amadi-Osarai. What are the other prospects of this government? I mean, looking at this 100 days in office, that perhaps give Edo people a better mindset towards this government as we look into the years ahead in the four-year tenure, as it were.
Yeah, first, I really need to congratulate the governor for being who he is, who we heard he was, and now that he has started, we pray that God gives him the strength to really do more. The prospect is guaranteed for prosperity. Why have I said that? Now we are having what we've never had before. For example, building a modern city. That is what he told us. And the first point of building a modern city is having an edifice that can behold, which is the flyover that had begun. And two, the federal road that seems to be enemy to Obaseki's administration. You know, that's why sometimes when people say, let us do what we can to consolidate center and down, so there can be good synergy for the people to benefit more. I think it is now obvious to the Edo people today. The Ekpoma Ubiaja road is smiling because Okpebholo has the spirit of humility. Even if you had to go and kneel down, for example, to remind the federal government that we can do this, and they give you the nod to go and start it, we will help you or we'll finish it, or we will pay you back when you are done. It's a nod, and that is what you are saying. Go to Sapele Road today. The job that is going on in Sapele Road, though they started it, Godwin Obaseki government was not carrying his social media people there to start saying he was the one that was doing Sapele Road, that even a man mill of the iron and rods that are being used to build there, cannot even be built by a state government because that project alone is billions. Now, they drove those people away with their social media, they left. But thank God, they have since returned back with Okpebholo visitation, and you can see the massive job that is going on in that houses. I live there, around that houses. Anytime I drive past, I am always smiling. Are you telling me a government in Nigeria can do such a road? Even without them telling me, with passers-by who go through there, or who are there, we know what I'm saying now. If I am being just rhetoric, or I am trying to play smart, or I'm trying to eulogize what is not there. They saw it and they are seeing it, and it's ongoing. So sometimes your camera people can even visit there. So that is evident enough. Now the security outfit, for example, you can see when he came in, he did not say the Edo State vigilante or Edo State network, what have you, must become an APC maid. He believed that these were our citizens that were there, just the leadership number 1, 2, 3 or so were changed in order to go with the activation of this administration. He kept all of them and they are giving them retraining and what have you. That is what government is all about. Then you can go to the Oshamole police that we started then. You know, when Obaseki came, because of his attitude towards people and human relations, he wiped all of them away and started his own crew, his own team. Today, you can see what consolidation is all about. Just only number 1 was changed to go with the new template and vision of the governor. And every other persons have remained. And now you can see the governor have acquired over 1,000 motorbikes that you will see on the street of Benin anytime soon. Anytime soon. I mean, we are counting days. Both for police, vigilante, and the same road traffic, what have you. Now that is what government is all about. Now if you go to government house now, you will see hearses in hundreds that have just been acquired by the governor to be distributed to the security outfit. All these as a result of managerial scale. Now you now have a governor that can manage your resources. We are not even talking about how much can you render either through IGR, because even when we are emphasizing more of this internally generated revenue, saying, oh, governor must raise, is extremely on extra burden on the people. Take it or leave it. The economy globally is not very fine. So if we begin to push more on this IGRO, you are only encouraging the governor to go all out, dehumanize the people, use coercion and every means to be collecting money. We should be thinking of what are the new plans on ground to generate money, not by collection. Like Obaseki was parading many years ago, he was going to build this BAD. Now I can tell you now, the farm arrangement this governor already had about thousands of hectares of land had already been ematted now for Edo farm settlement. You will see what we call practical government. That is what is going to happen in this government. Now to even further, do you know over 5,000 Edo market women by the governor had just been approved to get soft loan with very less than 1% of interest. This is what governance is all about. So with all of this and some that have not even said, the prospect is extremely going to be wonderful.
Let's get a final word from Ken Erumuse as we begin to wind down this conversation. Ken, quickly talk to us about the prospect of this government. I mean, post 100 days.
Yes, obviously the future is very promising. As you can see, the governor has started well. 100 days in office, he has achieved so much, and we're expecting that within the next year, Edo State we experience massive industrialization, massive development, and massive government intervention in all sectors. There are a lot of plans on the way to ensure that we reduce our transportation costs. You will recall that even when the governor came in, he was able to ban the market unions. All those were geared towards reducing food items in our market and reducing cost of living. We are also having a lot of plans to ensure that we reduce the cost of transportation. There are so many plans ahead. I assure you, within the next 6 months, Edo people will marvel at what they will have experienced under this Governor Okpebholo's and the future looks very bright.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ken. Thank you so much for your time Thank you for the perspectives that you were able to share with us today on the show. Let me come back to Shedrack Udugba on a final note.
Yes.
What are your fears and concerns about the prospects?
Yeah. Started by making some business solutions. You know, when you bring two APC persons, one is on Zoom, is supporting lies, the other one here is collaborating. I know they can see what's happening. It's a collabo of lies, but let me begin to debunk the lies very clearly. It's not Obaseki came on board, Obaseki disbanded the Oshomole police. Yes, Oshomole police were causing numerous accidents. They were diving into people's vehicles. There were no more recorded evidence. There were no less than 3 persons that died. I was working for the Foundation of Good Governance and Social Change. We did an extra that we were one of those who led protests to government as to say this thing must stop. And when Obaseki came on board, he brought in ETSMA. That was the Oshomole police that had revamped into a Edo State traffic management system. And everybody in Edo State can attest to the level of civility and the contribution ESMA is making to Edo State. What this man is making, just say the government was not raising money, the government was not raising. That is why it's Odo State is only 2 states in Nigeria that is functional and can fund themselves. River State and the Lagos State. These are the only 2 states that can manage themselves. Edo State ought to struggle to a point where they can attract investments so that Edo State can start and fund its own activities. What this guy is doing that, Okpebholo now sees government as a tool for making money. I can tell you very clearly, he's making mention about the issue of road. There's many apart from the Temboga road, he says doing, Obaseki started, the upper mission road is not to 3 kilometers that is repairing towards the edges of Aduawa, and these federal roads that federal government is now working on. The only thing he has done was to rush to Raman Park to declare, and that project is a federal government project initiated by Monday Okpebholo. If Monday Okpebholo completes that work he's doing at Raman Park, the federal government will reimburse him his money. So I can tell you categorically, in the issue of road, Monday Okpebholo has not spent 1 naira in Edo State money providing road for Edo State people. There's no project he has kickstarted. The project, that road, whether you like it or not, that Raman Park is a federal government road. The project we build there, it will go behind and collect the money back. I can be celebrating. What is Okpebholo's policies? That's what we're supposed to be talking in 100 days in office. Not because the man went to renovate 1 school. They said he had 1 school, Emeka Primary School, he went to renovate. And the school renovated it. The school now began to look like a Gwedio. You saw the way they now did Benin markings on the school. They should pay another school. Apart from that, the school, they renovate.
Or be secondary and primary school.
They should bring the pictures on social media. Or schools that have actually started to renovate. They came on board and they are making Hulu Balo about that they are renovating schools. See, if you talk about, we will talk about investments and industrialization. Obaseki was clear. He said it was going to attract investment to Edo State. It was going to grow Edo State economy. GDP for Edo State was 2.03 trillion when Adam Sali Oshomole left office. Obaseki took over in 20. As I speak to you now, the gross domestic product GDP of Edo State is 5.73 trillion. This is what we call growth. That's when we talk about growth. Obaseki attracted, there were 4 modular refineries that was approved by Nigerian federal government. Edo State attracted 2. Edo State attracted 2 ethanol plants. Edo State attracted Oshomo power plant. Edo State attracted all numerous even created a place where we could have industrial park, even though you could not see that today. But a park of those are because we have free trade zone in Yanomo. Okay. All of these things were built upon by the government. We could see the tradition. In terms of human capital development, we saw the man build Edo Innovation Hub. We saw the Vito Wavo Center in order to train youth for skill development. What is Monday Okpebholo's strategy on this? Under security, we saw the way the security were being managed. We saw the level of training, and we begin to see a new sign of relief. When Monday Okpebholo came on board, all it was doing was to superimpose leaders of the It was the first time in my life I saw a security agency protesting in open daylight. And I began to wonder, if the security agency is protesting, who will now hold it? He came on board and took away all the leadership because he wants to use them as a tool. It was the same, when they talk about security, it was the same security they took when they went to destroy PDP secretariat. That the APC put, we saw them in their black uniform. They were from government house. Security that were used to carry out thuggery activities. We saw the thugs were bringing to the high court to fight people. They were Obaseki's thug. We saw the Okpebholo's thug. The one here, the power now.
Thank God he says Obaseki's thug.
He never patronized thug. They were Okpebholo's thug. What is all this supervision? So even in markets, when he came, he said he had banned all market unions. All market unions to stand by. What he did was not want to go and break another Esan woman and say this woman will not be Yeki. He is totally tribalistic. All of these inadequacies is littered everywhere. Monday Okpebholo should come and tell us this is my policy. See, when he talked about Moa, I just laughed. Moa will become, when completed, will become the largest museum in Africa. It has been listed in New York Times and one of the most top 10-50 places to visit in Africa. It is not a just state that did that one. When we talk about Edo, we saw Sawolu, the video in social media.
So why is it located inside hospital?
Let me explain to you. See, when you want to build your Moa, that place was, if you go to Central Hospital, that portion of Central Hospital was downstairs building. Many of those buildings were dilapidated. I was there before now. So I'm not speaking from.
Why did they take it to Orion or Woden?
So you want us to build a world-class museum and take it to a bush. When foreigners are coming, it's on the airport they were searching.
No, people start building around there.
No, it can it's just making allusions to. Okay. But what I'm trying to say is this. Monday Okpebholo should tell us a clear position. There's no direction, there's nothing.
Okay.
There's cluelessness across board.
All right. Gentlemen, if I have much time, I said I would have loved to continue with this conversation. But I'm sure that this is an ongoing conversation in terms of the 100 days in office celebration of the present government in Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo. Whichever side of the divide that you belong to, the fact remains we are all interested in making Edo State work for Edo people. The government should live up to the expectations of Edo people. That's what binds all of us together. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. Comrade, thank you
so much.
Shedrack, thank you for coming.